Another big use for these that I do is use them on my Cricut die cuts. It really makes them stand out well, and it enhances the cut edges. Here I have a little turtle. He's got 3 pieces. He's got his shadow piece, the main piece, and his shell. So if I put them together, he's definitely cute, but he's not really standing out as much as I would like for him to stand out. So what I'm going to do, I'll start with my brown. I want to bring out the shell. So I'm going to use that technique where I ink further onto the paper, starting off, coming on, pretty far on to the die cut. And what you're doing is you're catching not only the cut edge of the paper, but you're also catching those detailed cuts. If you put more pressure on the back of the tool, then you won't color your entire cardstock piece. You will just catch all the edges that are cut. Now we're going to ink our turtle a little bit, but we don't want a whole lot of ink on him. He's barely going to show, so we want to just catch his edges. And what I do here, you want to make sure he's flat. He's kind of bending off the mat. I use it, notice I'm doing it in a different way. I just start off the edge and drag him up onto the edge. Now the feet, I'll give a little more color. Again, you're catching the edges. Catch the edges of his tail. Now when you put him together, he just has a little more presence, I think. Let's get his shadow showing. Shadows are important, I think. I used to not use the shadow cut very much, but there you can see his shell detail stands out. He stands out a little bit more from his shadow piece, and it just gives the die cut piece more dimension and more depth when you do it that way. The last thing I'm going to show you is something I did recently and got a lot of questions about as well. I love Peachy Keen faces for my paper dolls. I have them for the animals, snowmen, Santa Clauses, all manner of die cuts. For this snowman, you have detailed cuts on his face as well as the buttons down his front. Now if I want to use the face stamp, I want the face to be blank, but that means I don't have the buttons either. So I cut 2 pieces, and then I'll cut off the head of one of them so that I can layer them, and that way I have this piece on the bottom with the details here like I did on the mouse earlier in the week, but I can stamp his face here. And what I'm going to do with him when I ink his edges, I'm starting off first with a very pale blue, Summer Sky, again Memento. Dye ink will work better than pigment ink, but pigment ink does work. It's just a little thicker. Now I'm going to shade him with 2 colors of blue. So the lighter color I want to go further onto my piece. So I'll just go around his edges. And I'm going pretty far up onto his body. Then I'm going to come back with darker blue. This is Bahama blue. Bend him back a little. And I'm not going to go as far onto the piece, because this I want to just accent his edges and give him some extra depth and definition. You will bend your pieces sometimes, but I find once I glue them down, it really doesn't show at all. And there he is, with his edges shadowed and shaded, and it really makes him stand out a lot more. So just remember, you always want to start off the edge, start your blending, then come on to your piece, and you want to use pretty gentle pressure, a little more pressure on the back end of the tool than you have on the front, and it gives you a very nice even shaded edge.